show, Nick. Finally, great to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm envious of your location because you're in LA. I think we both have smoky conditions still. Are you still
Mm,
have, the one thing the West Coast has in common is way too many wildfires, both in beautiful cities covered in smoke. Yours is a little different because you have the Staples Center out your window, which that just makes you sad because the pandemic has basically killed off that area. And of course, your basketball team is in the Western Conference Finals there. And that building usually would be rocking for the Western Conference Finals, the home of Kobe and LeBron. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. I love what you do. I told folks before we brought you on how much I told them all to go follow your Instagram. So if you saw a spike in Instagram followers as we start here on this Monday, you can blame me. I told him, it's one of my favorite things to watch. Obviously, you have ties to one of our favorite human beings on our show, Lisa Bodenberg. Just gotta love Lisa, She's just like the Marine Corps door gunner who just climbs
she's
mountains.
amazing.
And she's always jumping in ice cold things. The woman is obsessed with being cold. I'm like, stop jumping in cold water. I get why you do it, but it's
We'll
really.
leave it to her.
She's crazy, jumping in a garbage can full of water and ice. Anyways, yeah. So you are a success coach, which is important in these days. What I love is that I'm a father of two beautiful daughters. So I love any badass entrepreneur that's out there focused on empowering women. That's a big mindset. My wife is the CEO of the company that started everything, LifeFlip Media. So I love talking to positive people. So one of your big things is talking about staying positive, keeping a positive mindset during this wonderful time called the pandemic of 2020, COVID-19 and quarantine. And then we add into the fact that smoke doesn't make it easy to leave our house. I know up here in the Pacific Northwest for the last 8 days, we've had air quality that makes the Middle East and Asia look healthy to breathe in. So how are you telling people to stay positive during this time, which probably isn't a time that you want to be positive?
Well, one of the things that I always suggest is really getting clear on which parts of your own experience are under your control and which parts aren't, because there's so much anxiety and worry and overwhelm that comes from trying to take it all on ourselves. When as soon as we step into really like looking at, okay, right, this part it's not good, doesn't feel nice, but it's nothing I can control right now. So I'm going to get back into my personal sense of peace and I'm going to focus on what I can do. And one of the things that we can always do is change the way that we think and feel. Now, I got asked once in an interview, Nick, do you think it's possible to change your mindset and change the way that you feel in a month? And I was like, oh my goodness, it's possible to change your mindset and the way you feel in a moment, never mind a month. So it's really bringing ourselves back to the present and finding gratitude for even in the bad things, because the stuff that is sent to challenge us also changes us and helps us grow in positive ways. So I'm always looking for what those little blessings are in amongst all of this.
I love it. And by the way, I love your accent. I'm over here feeling like I'm like talking to Bono or somebody. It's amazing. Sorry, I'm just like, this is awesome. Sorry, I'm like an accent person. I talk to a lot of Australians. One of my business partners and executive producers of our show is in Australia. So I know you don't have an Australian accent, but it's an accent. And I'm like, it's just so much
Well,
better than
I lived in Australia for like 6 months. So I'm originally from England, but I lived in Amsterdam, Australia, South Africa, and now here in the States. So
and so much of your original, English is kind of everywhere, right? Because the Australians are like, we have Australian accents. I'm like, yeah, but you're technically British because, yeah, and they don't like to be reminded of that. But we don't want to go there. I don't want to piss off Australians. Not my goal for the day.
we're the
So actually,
OGs.
my next question for you is what actually drove you to begin your journey to help women become, and I love this, unstoppable? I love that, what did that? And I know you have a book, so kind of tell us about both of that. What drove you to start this journey? Because it's an interesting subject, really timely to be a, very outspoken woman, especially in English, you guys are renowned for being outspoken. I mean, you brought us the Beatles, so you're welcome, right? We're like, yeah, the English brought us everything, including, well, they didn't bring us U2, that's the Irish, but besides that, you gave us the Stones and the Beatles, but in many other things. But what drove you to begin this journey?
I mean, I'm completely fascinated about what it is that commonly stops people. So we see time and time again, whether it's people think they haven't got enough time, or people think they haven't got enough money, or people are just scared. There's always going to be an obstacle. And when I was goodness, when I was maybe 17, 18, I had a complete shift in my own mindset because I was originally going to be a mechanical and automotive engineer. I wasn't signed up to do psychology. And I was told a story from my boyfriend at the time, who was a professional cricket player, who was seeing a sports psychologist that said to him, when you're on the field and you're into bat, don't stand there and look at the fielders, but look for the gaps in the fielders instead. So I was like, oh my goodness, we spend so much time focused on problem and things that are going wrong rather than focusing on possibility and opportunity. So that really led me down the path of studying positive psychology, which is the science of how individuals, communities, and businesses can thrive, more commonly known as the science of happiness. So not only do I get to help people with this amazing discipline, but it's kind of like a really fun, inspiring personal journey for me too. So I wrote the book really to give a practical breakdown of what people can do in their daily lives. They can pick it up, they can read it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and use a tool which can help them feel better straight away.
I love it. Now, and this is why I tell people to follow you on social media, because you're so empowering and it's fun to just watch what you're doing. Yes, you're working out and make people probably be like, crap, I need to go work out. In fact, I've watched you guys work out and be like, I need to go work out. And I actually do. I mean, I'm pretty religious about that. But like I touched on earlier, as a father of two daughters, I'm always looking for good role models for my girls. I mean, one of them's in her early 20s, and my youngest is 16. She's actually the creator of this show, which is pretty impressive for a 16-year-old. But if you could speak to your younger self, what would one of those lessons be that you would tell younger Nick, like, this is where my journey's taking us? I mean, what would be some advice that you would give to yourself?
I would tell my younger self to trust myself more. So trust my own intuition more and also trust the process more. I think when you're younger, there's a lot of impatience around success or goals, or I've got to do what everyone else is doing and I've got to do that thing now. I wish that I'd just known when I was younger, Nick, it's all going to be okay. You're going to figure it out. Just believe in yourself that little bit more and trust in your own intuition. That would be my advice.
I love it. So let's talk about one topic that I'm really hot on right now, and it's this overwork belief, right? Everybody has the belief that success means you have to work around the clock, and everybody wants to compare themselves to somebody else. And actually, it's funny, so many people compare themselves to the wonderful Gary Vaynerchuk. I love Gary, and everybody's like, well, Gary says I need to hustle, and I'm like, well, yeah, but Gary also tells you to be the authentic you. Don't be him. I mean, going on stage wearing a V-neck and jeans and, his, shoe line, that's Gary's thing, dropping F-bombs on stage. That's not your thing, nor do you need to work 24 hours a day to prove that you're doing it or posting that you're working hard on the weekend. I see that so often. People are like, I work around the clock. And I'm like, okay, that's what you're supposed to do. When you're an entrepreneur, you're never really off. So how do you encourage folks to make sure that they keep time to work out, to spend time with their loved ones? I know you and I, we go back and forth on the weekends all the time, and one of us is at some place, usually you're someplace I'm envious of, like in Palm Desert or Palm Springs, but you take a lot of time for yourself, which is important to unwind. How do you encourage and kind of point people to, yes, it's important to work, but it's also time to give your body and your mind that downtime?
Yes. So I believe in doing both. Like, I believe that you can have it all. And one of the things that is going to be your best friend is creating bigger boundaries around your time commitments for both of the things. So where we get into overwhelm or where we get into conflict with ourselves is when there's like a blurred line and you feel guilty around, oh, I should be working, but I'm actually having the day off. Or I should be spending time with my family, but I'm actually in the office. So the more that you can get committed to, right, this is the 4 hours, I'm creating a solid box around doing this particular type of work during this time, and I'm going to switch on and then I'm going to fully switch off. I also believe that things like working out are actually also business activities. I know that I'm a better human. You probably don't want to have a conversation with me before I've done that workout. But I know that it all feeds each other. I know that when I enjoy my off time and downtime, I'm going to show it better for my business and my clients. So they do go hand in hand.
Oh, awesome. That is so perfect, because I agree with you. There's two things that you don't want to talk to me before I've done is work out and have coffee. That's like, And you need it in that order, because I have a lot of early morning meetings, but and I'm a big Pelotoner, hopping on my Peloton and kind of just disappearing in music. Music is my everything, and it kind of goes with the workout and sets the day. And then give me coffee. Please don't talk to me before at least one cup's in, because if you come at me with way too much, I'm just like, I don't want to hear it. So yeah, it is crazy to think about. When we come back from the break, I just have one last thing that I want to run by you. When we come back, we're going to talk about the 3 best ways to shift your mindset during a time that it just seems like everything is against us, which we could just call 2020. 2020 to me seems to be everything and every challenge we have, from fires to COVID. Obviously here in the States, one of the biggest things we're dealing with is this election that just seems to be, it's destroying people on social media. I've never watched so many people just go at each other for no reason. And it's like, man, you're friends. Like, who talks to you would never talk to your friend in person this way. Why would you talk to him on social? So when we come back from the break, we're going to finish our conversation with the wonderful Niyc Pidgeon. Pidgeon. So Nick, before you go, I want to talk about and just get your tips real fast. What are the 3 best ways that you could shift your mindset here in 2020 when you think everything's impossible and there's no positivity in sight? What are some three tips? We'll go 3. If you go over 3, that's fine. But what are 3 tips that you're telling folks to stay positive and overcome when they think it can't be done?
Okay, so number 1, write a gratitude list. So this is a proven positive psychology intervention that is known to shift the way that you feel. So write a list of all of the things that you're grateful for, big or small. We're going to celebrate them all. So we're looking at, it could be health, it could be your family, it could literally be anything. That's going to be number 1. Number 2, I want you to create yourself a morning practice. So a little morning ritual, even though it doesn't have to be long, it can just be 10 minutes. And I want you to put in there meditation and also moving your body. So when you move your body, you move your mood. And you can guarantee that when you get present in meditation, when you move your body with the movement, your mind is going to let go of all of those negative, distracting, detracting thoughts. And then the 3rd thing is, I want you to actually try, this is a really, really powerful intervention that people actually aren't often aware of. The practice of forgiveness, which is actually releasing yourself of any toxic thoughts. Now, the positive psychology intervention for this is to write a forgiveness letter. Now, you can write this to someone else, but my invitation for you is to actually write this to yourself and see what things, what thoughts, what ideas, where you're beating yourself up, where you can actually choose to take back your power by writing out this letter. Take 20 minutes. Forgiveness letter. So gratitude, first of all, morning ritual, and that forgiveness letter.
Woohoo, I love it. And before you go, how can everybody get a hold of you? Obviously, I told them how to follow you on social, but how can folks follow you and start working with you? Because obviously you're an incredible, just an incredible human being doing incredible things. So how can folks connect with you? What's the best way? What's coming up? Do you have anything awesome? I know you do courses online all the time, and the responses are amazing, fun to watch. So how can folks learn more to work with you?
So I love hanging out on Instagram. So I'm on every single social platform at Niyc Pidgeon. Instagram's my favorite. So I love chatting with you, voice noting, DMing with you there. And that's at Niyc Pidge. There's also all of the info about our business courses, and my positive psychology book, Now Is Your Chance, on my website as well, which is niycpidgeon.com.
Outstanding. Well, Nick, I want to thank you for coming on our show today. You've definitely kicked off our week in the right way. It's the perfect way to go into the rest of the work week with just your inspiration. And go check Nick out on Instagram. I'm telling everybody that's the place to be. And it's true. I love, out of all the social platforms, before you go, Instagram's my favorite. Just like, I don't know what it is. It's kind of pictures. It's fun. It's enjoyable. I think it's because there's no really negativity on there. Like, nobody's posting politics and downsy, like sad stuff. It's always like uplifting. So anyways,
yeah.
That's why I watch it. Just watching everybody do positive. It's good to see positivity in the world. So Nick, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much. We'll have to have you back on real soon.